I have permitted the Honorable Minister of Agriculture to make a ministerial statement. The Honorable Minister of Agriculture.
Madam Speaker, thank you for giving me this opportunity to present a ministerial statement on the status of the Farmer Input Support Program, FISIP, for the 2023-2024 farming season. Madam Speaker, I wish to inform the House that government will continue to implement the Farmer Input Support Program, FISIP, in the 2022-2024 farming season. The total number of beneficiary farmers targeted, Madam Speaker, is 1,024,434 small-scale farmers countrywide. 1,024,434. 1,024,434 small-scale farmers countrywide. Same figure, Madam Speaker, as the past 2-3 seasons. The program will be implemented using two modalities, namely the direct input supply and the e-voucher system. The direct input supply modality will be implemented in Eastern, Northern, Luapula, Copperbelt, Mchinga, and Western provinces, covering a total of 551,187 small-scale farmers. I'll repeat the provinces, Madam Speaker: Eastern, Northern, Luapula, Copperbelt, Mchinga, and Western Province. While the e-voucher will be implemented in Lusaka, Central, Southern, and Northwestern provinces, covering a total of 473,247 smallholder farmers. Madam Speaker, the total estimated cost to government for the 2023-24 FISIP is 7,152,481,297.47. I will repeat: 7,152,481,292.47, of which the e-voucher is 1,549,273,497.68, while of course for the DIS is 5,603,207,794 ngwe. Madam Speaker, the following is the eligibility criteria for one to qualify to receive inputs under the FISIP program. A, an individual farmer should be a member of a registered farmer organization and selected by the Camp Agriculture Committee, the CACs, which we were discussing yesterday. B, be a registered small-scale farmer and actively involved in farming within the camp coverage area. C, cultivating not more than 5 hectares of land. D, have the capacity to pay the prescribed farmer contribution of 400 kwacha. E, not employed by government, public institutions, and not in formal employment. F, should be a Zambian and possess a green national registration card. G, should have an active phone number. H, not benefiting from a similar government program such as the Food Security Pack under the Ministry of Community Development and Social Services. Madam Speaker, each targeted farmer under the direct input supply will be entitled to the following inputs in the pack. A, 3 by 50 kg basil dressing fertilizer. B, 3 by 50 kg top dressing fertilizer. C, 1 by 10 kg bag maize seed. And, Madam Speaker, either one of the following seed. 1 by 25 kg bag of soybean seed, or 1 by 20 kg bag of groundnut seed, or 1 by 12.5 kg rice, or 1 by 5 kg sunflower, or 1 by 20 kg common beans, or 1 by 10 kg cowpeas, and finally 1 by 10 kg sorghum. Madam Speaker, the other seed, of course, I'll repeat them, will be soybean, groundnut, rice, sunflower, common beans, cowpeas, or sorghum. More crops, Madam Speaker, have been included in the input pack in FISIP to encourage crop diversification for farmers and, of course, to improve our dietary selection. Madam Speaker, you may wish to note that farmers on e-voucher will be at liberty to choose agricultural inputs which are not limited to fertilizers, maize, and legumes. The fixed value of the pack is approximately 9,581 kwacha 18 ngwe. Madam Speaker, allow me to correct the misconception that farming inputs under the FISIP for the 2023-2024 farming season have delayed. There is no delay whatsoever in the procurement of inputs. The procurement process for the 380 metric tons of compound D fertilizer was concluded way back in May 2023, and 2 suppliers were shortlisted and awarded contracts to deliver fertilizers. Madam Speaker, as of Friday, 7th July 2023, as of today, Madam Speaker, the United Capital Fertilizer had delivered 38,774.68 metric tons, which is about 50.3% of what they were asked to supply. NCZ is about to conclude its tender procedures for transport and warehousing because they are subject to government procurement procedure. Therefore, they are not as quick as a private company. Madam Speaker, regarding the registration of farmers, this is an ongoing process which is done through camp agriculture committees based in the camps. There are 468 agriculture extension blocks which are divided into 2,508 camps. Madam Speaker, as I conclude, I wish to reaffirm government's commitment to a timely distribution of inputs and a transparent selection for beneficiaries. The New Dawn government, under the leadership of the President, His Excellency the President, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, is committed to improve the livelihoods of our people and increase food security in the country. Among the many interventions that can actualize this aspiration, Madam Speaker, is a prudent implementation of the Farmer Input Support Program, which government is undertaking, together, of course, Madam Speaker, with this noble House. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable members are now free to ask questions on points of clarification on the ministerial statement given by the Honorable Minister of Agriculture. The Leader of Opposition.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Minister, for your statement. Yes, Minister, in your statement, you've highlighted that you use a two-tier system, the e-voucher and the direct input supply system. Previously, implementing these two systems created a challenge for government in that the people collecting under direct input support system collected a definite number of bags of fertilizer, if you like. For the e-voucher, depending on the sensitivity of prices, sometimes over the years, the quantum of support reduced because the price of fertilizers and inputs went up. To avoid a similar challenge for this government, where accusations are made as to how inputs are being distributed, is there a formula that you're employing on e-voucher to make sure that when their price changes, the quantum of support also changes correspondingly? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Agriculture.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I wish to thank the Leader of the Opposition for that question. Yes, Madam Speaker, the system is going to be very sensitive to price changes. If there will be a fluctuation, the figure which I mentioned, which was like 9,600 on the e-voucher, will accordingly be shifted. But also, Madam Speaker, to give comfort, the way in which we are selecting the agro dealers is that they will be linked to the major suppliers of fertilizer who are supplying on the DIS, so that there will be no major price movement. Madam Speaker, allow me also to mention that the Leader of the Opposition was very right when he said, I discussed a two-tier system. I will come again to the House to come and give another tier, which we are adding onto the FISIP arrangement, which will cover 30,000 farmers, but will be on a loan basis arrangement as we shift from this free FISIP to a more elaborate banking loan situation. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Vubwi. Order, honorable members. Let's allow the honorable member to ask a supplementary question. Proceed, honorable member.
Thank you so very much, Madam Speaker. And thank you, Minister, for the statement given. I just want to find out, because you have said for a farmer to benefit, there is need for the active SIM card. What will the ministry do to some areas where people would not access network? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Agriculture.
Madam Speaker, I thank you, and I wish to thank the Honourable Member for Vubi for that question, which is extremely important. Madam Speaker, the areas where the e-voucher system will be implemented have been very carefully selected. Most of these areas are already under coverage. The e-voucher system is the one which demands so much that the farmer should have connectivity. But of course, even the DIS, for information purposes, we are working on that, and we are collaborating very closely with technology that our country should be covered. And with what we know, very soon, Zambia will be 100% covered by phone. I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Kalabo Central.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
I wanted to find out from the Honorable Minister the criteria which they used to select these regions for e-voucher and the FISIP direct input. On which side of the two has a higher value of package in terms of monetary between the FISIP and the e-voucher? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Agriculture.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, a number of factors dictate which system can be tried where. Number one, the ecological zone within which that area falls has a lot to do with what you try. Number two, the issues which Honorable Member for Vubi raised also plays an important role. Is the area easy to connect by phone or not? Number three, the type of crop that can grow in a particular area. And I will give an example, a very specific example for this one, because it can affect any of us, and at this point, we are still able to accommodate a change, because it is early in the season. We have, Madam Speaker, farmers, honorable members from the southern province, especially in the valley areas. They actually wrote to us and said they would prefer to be on the e-voucher because in their areas, maize is not a preferred crop. They would like to go for sorghum, cowpeas, etc. We listened to that and we slotted in some of those districts on the e-voucher. Our role is to make life easy for the farmer. So we will listen to the representatives of the farmers. Madam Speaker, the second aspect of the question is very linked to what the leader of the opposition asked. I would like to give comfort to you, Madam Speaker, and through you to the nation, that if you look at the value of the fertilizer we are buying and the quantity we are giving out and the price of seed, you will notice that it is almost equivalent to the figure which I mentioned. So all that has been taken into account so that we do not disadvantage any region whatsoever. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Kwacha.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, to allow me to ask a question on behalf of the people of Kwacha constituency to the Honorable Minister of Agriculture, one of our very hardworking ministers in the UPNE government. But before I can do that, Madam Speaker, allow me to quickly wish a quick recovery to one of our brothers, Honorable Kalima, who was involved in a road traffic accident. Honorable Minister, I would like to find out from you if at all there are prospects by my government to increase the beneficiaries of FISIP for the 2023-2024 farming season. I ask this question because...
Honorable Member, just ask the question. Do not explain. Just ask the question.
Thank you for guidance, Madam Speaker. Is there any possibility of increasing beneficiaries for the 2023-2024 season? And also, is there any possibility of increasing the number of bags?
One question, Honorable Member. Just
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm sure he has gotten the question.
The Honorable Minister of Agriculture.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I wish to thank the Honorable Member for that question. Madam Speaker, Is there any possibility of increasing the size of the park? No, there is no possibility of increasing the size of the park whatsoever. Is there a possibility of increasing the beneficiaries? On this actual program, no. But I did indicate when responding to the leader of the opposition that I will come back to the House to come and give indications for an extra 30,000 beneficiaries who could benefit, Madam Speaker, on a different program which we would like to pilot, which is based on loans, very low interest loans. As we migrate, and I want you to get this, as we migrate from this free FISIP into a loan situation. I thank you.
Thank you. There is too much talking, honorable members. Can we tone down our voices? The honorable member for Milanzi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, I would like to know when fertilizer will reach individual farmers. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Agriculture.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I'd like to thank the Honorable Member for Milanzi. Fertilizers, number one, will be in all the depots probably in the next 2 months or so. To give to the farmers, we are now in the process of selecting the farmers. Once the selection has been done, for those areas where we shall have the fertilizer already delivered, we see no reason why we should delay. It will be immediately the beneficiaries have been selected. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Petauke Central.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving the good people of Petauke this opportunity to ask a follow-up question to the Minister of Agriculture. Minister of Agriculture, first I want to congratulate you this year for the job well done. We can confirm that in Petauke we have started receiving fertilizer, and more than 40% we have received. So continue with the same spirit. Mutisunge. Now the question is, you have said that you are in the process of starting selecting farmers. Are you going to include those new cooperative or new farmers on board? Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Agriculture.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. First, let me acknowledge the kind words from the Honorable Member for Petauke and indeed from the Honorable Member for Kwacha. Thank you, colleagues, for observing that we are working and working hard. In terms of the selection of the farmers, it is entirely, Madam Speaker, up to the agricultural committees to which the MPs should have influence on. Yesterday, I promised that we'll do a letter. The letter has been drafted. Probably by tomorrow, we will have these letters in our pigeonholes, which will give you authority to have influence on the agricultural committees in your area. So have effect. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Shiwangandu.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, and we appreciate the assurances coming from the Honorable Minister, and I'm sure this year it will be totally different from what we had last year. Honorable Minister, the confusion we had last year was that we still had the same number of beneficiaries as you have given us, but then we ended up with more people to benefit on the same program, and that ended in a situation where our farmers were even sharing fertilizer and inputs using what they call medals. Can you confirm whether there will be farmers that will be weaned off from this program, or from this number that you have given. Because what necessitated the point of the matter of urgent public importance I raised was the fears of the farmers that have been told by your CAC officers that they'll be weaned off the FISP program. How many people, if at all you are weaning off some farmers, are going to be weaned off this program of FISP, which we are now going to revise? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Agriculture.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And let me thank Honorable Kampyongo, who raised the point of order which has brought us to this statement. It is important for the nation to know. So thank you for that point of order. Madam Speaker, there is no way that we can have more than 1,024,434 farmers. It's impossible. If that happens, it is serious error which we as MPs should check in our areas. Because we know how many farmers are going to benefit in that area. And the fertilizer sent is sent as a pack because of that particular number. So we should not allow larger numbers. All what we do is to spoil the entire program. It will not give us the expected return. So there's no way, Madam Speaker, that numbers can increase. I think that was an erroneous statement coming from the Honorable Member. How can numbers increase? Because even last year I stood here and gave 1,024,434. In terms of winning, Madam Speaker, in certain areas, farmers who have been benefiting for a long time and have been identified have been taken out. But what I can confidently say is that by 2025, all the farmers who are on the system now, none of them should ever get fertilizers again 2025 going forward, because they would have done their 3 years, whether they are new or not. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Wengwa.
Madam Speaker, thank you very much. Minister, thank you for your statement. Yeah, Minister, I think I've been provoked by the last answer, where you did say that by 2025, we are going to win off all those farmers who have been receiving fertilizer. Now, Minister, have we undertaken a program whereby farmers have been sensitized already, that after 3 years, you'll be weaned off so that we have newcomers? Or maybe this is when you are just planning about it, you are going to start sensitizing farmers so that we don't, shock them. I think it is important to sensitize. How far have you gone with sensitization of the small-scale farmers so that they are not shocked? Thank you very much, Honorable Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Agriculture.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I thank the Chairman for the Agriculture Committee for that observation. The answer is yes. We are on a program. We are sensitizing farmers. The Honorable Member will recall, Madam Speaker, that 2 years ago, we had started taking out farmers, but it was in this House where I was guided to say, sensitize the farmers first, don't take them out. This is part of the sensitization. By 2025, any farmer whose name is on the list now, we will not anymore get this PCP, because whether they are new or not, they would have done 3 years. And this information, the House is asked to inform their farmers. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Kalomo Central.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. The e-voucher, Honorable Minister. In Kalomo Central, I was told by the farmers that never should they have e-voucher. I went around all the wards. They didn't like it. Why? Because when they dealt with agro dealers, they were duped. Many terms came in, redeeming, money is there, but you can't have it. So my question is, now that you have brought it in, what measures have you put that won't have the same problems we had. For example, where a person will receive money is there in the phone, but can't get it. Two, they had other problems of being duped by agro dealers. When agro dealers were delayed in paying, I still have people 6 years ago whose money were gotten the farmers. Like in Katunduru now, they have never collected their fertilizer from the agro dealers. Up to today, I receive phone calls. So now my question is, what measures have you put under the e-voucher that will make the system better for people really to receive it with 2 hands? Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Agriculture.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I wish to thank the Honourable Member for Karomo Central for that important question. What measures have we put in place to ensure that farmers will collect their inputs? Madam Speaker, number one, the most important thing is that all those who will be on e-voucher will be supported effectively by the resource onto the system. Previously, money was usually not there. Number two, the product will be available. Like I indicated, we are trying to marry the agro dealers to, Madam Speaker, major fertilizer supplying companies who are supplying in other areas, so that the product will always be there. Finally, Madam Speaker, we will make sure that if the farmer's number on the system, if the document for swiping is not working, the farmer can simply get the number and give it to the agro dealer, and in that way, the farmer will be given their inputs. That was another problem causing congestion and farmers being, as you say, duped and told to, swipe, and then they are not given. But I must say, I would not like to rattle feathers, but the system was actually made bad by agro dealers who were not genuine and who had no heart for the farmer and who messed up the system deliberately because of fraud. That now will not happen. They will be arrested. That I can assure you. They will be arrested. And this is a warning to those who would be agro dealers. If you think that it will be business as usual, you will go to jail. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm adding 10 more minutes since there are so many other members who have indicated. The Honourable Member for Bwacha.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, especially for adding 10 more minutes. Honourable Minister, for the sake of the farmer out there, especially maybe those who did not follow the ministerial statement as it was being given on the floor of the House, just mention again the criteria used by the government through your ministry to, yeah, it's correct. Honorable Milupi, it's correct. Thank you very much. For the provinces to be on the direct input support program and the e-vouchers, the provinces, what is the criteria used to? The question is very clear, Madam Speaker. Thank you very much.
Criteria. The word is criteria. The Honourable Minister of Agriculture.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I would like to thank Honourable Sydney for that question. Madam Speaker, the areas which are going to be on direct input supply are Eastern, Northern, Luapula, Copperbelt, Mchinga, and Western. And the areas which are going to be on e-voucher are Lusaka, Central, Southern, Northwestern provinces. The reasons for some of these areas being where they belong is because of, one, the ecological area. What are the climatic conditions in that area? What crops can grow in that area? Secondly, we also tried to see if the area is easily reachable, Madam Speaker, by technology, phone, etc. It is easy to try it on the e-voucher. Thirdly, Madam Speaker, the request from the area through the district agriculture coordinators and indeed through honorable members in the House that we want to be in a given system has also been respected. And I repeat, at this point in time, if you feel that your area needs to change the system, you are free to let us know before it is too late. Because once fertilizers finally is taken 100%, it's impossible because the inputs taken out there have something to do with what system is being used. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Ron.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and welcome back. Honorable Minister, thank you very much for the statement. Honorable Minister, small-scale farmers are still apprehensive with what transpired last year in terms of distribution and allocation of farming input. You have clearly indicated that United Capital Fertilizer has actually 38,000 on the wheels going to various destinations. Could you be in a position, Honorable Minister, to also state as to what volumes were placed with nitrogen chemicals of Zambia and what is it that is in their stock ready for distribution? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Agriculture.
Madam Speaker, I wish to thank the Honorable Member for Ron. I will round up the figures. Madam Speaker, United Capital Fertilizer was given about 77,000 metric tons, to which, as we are talking now, they have delivered more than 50%. NCZ was given about 43,000 metric tons. They have in stock right now already produced, and I'm happy, Madam Speaker, that your members went to see this fertilizer. And I was told you constituted a team to go and see the fertilizer, and they went to see the fertilizer. 10,000 metric tons is available. So NCZ will simply produce another 30 and distribute. And we are extremely hopeful. We are definitely confident that they are going to supply the fertilizer on time. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Kantanshi.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. And thank you very much, Honourable Minister, for your responses. I would like to join the House in congratulating you for this well-prepared farming season. Madam Speaker, the people have heard the millions of dollars that will be invested through taxpayers into this agriculture season. But I think the greatest concern is the cost of living through some of these products that are coming out of their own investment as taxpayers. Honourable Minister, the previous farming season, we had a bumper harvest, but we have already seen a spike in the prices of products such as feed for chickens, which are a byproduct of this very activity you're carrying out. When are we going to see a strategy coming from your ministry that will speak to the cost of living or the cost of the end product from this sort of investment that the taxpayer is putting in? Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Agriculture.
Madam Speaker, I thank you, and I would like to thank the Honourable Member for that very, very important question. I will endeavour, Madam Speaker, in future to come and discuss the pricing of minimum and maize products. For us to achieve reasonable prices for inputs such as fertilizer, we need competition in this country for those companies. Right now, we've noticed a huge drop in the price of fertilizer from last year to this year, simply because of this fertilizer company producing in Zambia. at least the D. We are hopeful that as more companies come and compete with United Capital Fertilizer, their prices will go down. We are extremely hopeful. They are beginning to produce, by next year, urea fertilizer. We will definitely see a drop in the price of urea. But that does not mean that we should be celebrating with one company. We need multiple companies, 3, 4, so that they compete against each other to find the proper price. That is what will bring the prices down. I would like, Madam Speaker, to take advantage of this. I'm sorry I'm eating into time. That we as Zambians, especially this House, Madam Speaker, should realize that it is not only the cost of inputs that determine the price of the products of maize and its products. Even the competing situation around us. If we're going to have all our neighbors not having what we have, the price will generally go up. And that is what we are experiencing. It is up to us to allow maize to achieve its economic price and meal to achieve its economic price. When you see us giving cowpeas, sorghum, millet, sunflower, it's because we want people to start changing the eating habits. Porridge in the morning, shima lunchtime, shima in the evening is making meal very, very cheap. Very, very cheap. We need to start bringing other products on the table so that people can have a much more healthier diet, and then meal will find its proper price so that Zambia can benefit. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Solwezi East.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Minister.
Order, Honorable Members. Proceed, Honorable Member.
Thank you, Minister, for giving us assurance that you will give us some letters in order to resolve some issues in the CAT in our constituencies. Minister, in Mushindamo district, we have some people going around claiming to represent NGOs and recruiting and collecting money from suspected members who are going to be farmers. Would you be able to state whether you have engaged some NGOs and agents to be collecting money under FISI programs in constituencies? Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Agriculture.
Madam Speaker, let me thank the Honorable Member, Doctor, for that issue. Madam Speaker, it is true. There's a lot of fake documentation going around. They have forged my signature. That's not my signature at all. And documents from the Minister of Agriculture, which are false. Those people should be reported to the police. Don't even waste time. Just take them to the police. Government does not engage strange agents. Government will come in the public and tell the public whom it has engaged. Right now, please let's inform our constituents that those documents are false and just report them to the police. I thank you, Madam.
Thank you very much. I see there are so many members who still want to ask questions, but we can only ask so many questions within the time that we've been given. Sincere apologies to those members that have not been called on. But please do engage the Honorable Minister of Agriculture further to see how we can iron out some of the issues, so we can make progress. Question for oral answer, Understanding Order 74. The Honorable Member for Pemba, in accordance with Standing Order 55-1.
Question 361 on behalf of the Zambian people. Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Transport and Logistics.
Indeed, indeed. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. The Honourable Member for Pemba to ask the Minister of Transport and Logistics a 5-part question, Madam Speaker. In Part A, whether the government has any plans to rehabilitate the Zambia Railways infrastructure countrywide. In B, if so, when the plans will be implemented. C, Madam Speaker, what the duration of the project is. In D, what the scope of the works is. lastly, in Part E, Madam Speaker, what the estimated cost of the project is. Madam Speaker, in response to the Honourable Member who raised the question, I wish to inform this August House as follows. A. Yes, government has plans to rehabilitate the Zambia Railways infrastructure. In B, plans to undertake the major rehabilitation of the Zambia Railways line have commenced. To this effect, in 2021, a contract was signed with a possible contractor in the name of Team Sweden Rail, and phase 1 of the contract, which includes final track assessment, has reached 86%. Government is exploring ways of funding phase 2 of the project, which includes the complete rehabilitation of the infrastructure, among other components. However, financial close has not yet been reached. The full rehabilitation of Zambia Railways line will therefore commence as soon as funds are secured. However, due to the poor state of the railway line, government has been implementing stopgap measures to ensure continued provision of the service. The government has continued to release funds to facilitate the maintenance of critical sections or structures. In C, Madam Speaker, the long-term rehabilitation of the Zambia Railways line is expected to take a period of 4 years from commencement. In D, the scope of works for the major rehabilitation will include complete track and civil rehabilitation works, purchase of brand new rolling stock and equipment, refurbishment and installation of signaling and telecommunications system, and capacity building as well as training. The estimated cost, Madam Speaker, of the full rehabilitation is around $1 billion. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. Honourable members are now free to ask supplementary questions. Honourable Member for Kamfinsa.
I'm grateful once again, Madam Speaker. Allow me to ask a follow-up question to the Minister of Transport and Logistics. Minister, you are aware that for many years, the cost of rehabilitating the rail line as well as the locomotives has been a huge cost. Have we taken steps as government to build the right local capacity to be able to rehabilitate both the rail line and the locomotives locally without contracting any foreign company? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honourable Minister of Transport and Logistics.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you to the Honourable Member for that follow-up question. Madam Speaker, the company needs immediate intervention estimated at 100 million United States dollars per year for the next 3 years, which would bring the total to 300 million to merely sustain its operations. Now, you will appreciate, Honourable Member, that going by the state of the infrastructure, which we must all agree that it is close to 120 years old, it has therefore really served its time and outlived its usefulness. In order for us to bring it to international standard, where we can increase the speed of the locomotives to about 120 kilometers per hour, we shall need substantial capital investment in order for this particular subsector, the rail sector, for it to make significant contribution to this country's economic development. So government will continue to pursue other potential means which can bring in sufficient funds that would allow us to fully rehabilitate not only the track but as well as the equipment in terms of the locomotives. So there are a number of interventions, such as the 150 billion European fund that is looking at potentially helping particularly African countries where we can come together and that a regional project of rehabilitating our rail infrastructure could be financed. So we are running with this front and center because we envisage that the rail subsector going forward, particularly with the robust pronouncements of copper production from 800,000 to 10 million metric tons in a decade, as well as the anticipated increase in agricultural production, we must have a viable rail sector in order for Zambia's economy to move forward. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Magoe.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, I want to find out somewhere around 2012, there was an investment of up to about $120 million, obtained, of course, from the Eurobond, which was highly celebrated. Now, was that money truly invested in this sector? Because the rail sector is truly an eyesore. Thank you, Honorable Minister.
The Honorable Minister of Transport and Logistics.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you to the Honorable Member to that very important question, which keeps coming up on the floor of this House. Because, like the Honorable Member has alluded, yes, there were those pronouncements. To this day, this government is having to grapple with huge sums of money that were borrowed. On one hand, Madam Speaker, we have been left with this debt without a compensating asset side. This is what the President has been preaching. No, Honorable Member, there was literally no investment in the rail subsector. There may have been one or two vehicles purchased, but nothing significant to turn around the rail subsector. And this is why we have said that we're hoping that the law enforcement agencies can really help us, that we may come to terms. Where has this taxpayers' money gone? Can the people that made decisions to borrow account for the monies that they borrowed? Because this government, which means well for its people, is now having to face these challenges of no fiscal space to deal with the many challenges that we are faced with. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Ron.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, once more, and thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable Minister, you have outlined quite a number of issues that you intend to take as a ministry to refurbish and ensure that Zambia Railways is viable again. I know you have answered one of my concerns, that is on speed. A lot of movers of goods are resorting to using the road. What incentives are you putting in place to entice these movers of heavy loads to come back to the rail line and use the rail line for your ministry to recoup the 1 billion kwacha that you invest in refurbishing the railway system? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Logistics and Transport and Logistics.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And thank you to the Honorable Member for that question. Suffice to say, Madam Speaker, that those that are in business do business, first of all, to be efficient in order for them to move their goods to the markets. Now, it's very difficult to incentivize this particular sector if from Mondola to Livingstone you are taking close to 20 days. That is actually not enough to entice. So it is a question of what comes first. Is it the chicken or the egg? We feel that there is very urgent need for us to improve on the infrastructure in order to gain the necessary speeds. That alone should be able, coupled with lower rates of transportation, should be able to do the necessary in terms of enticing the private sector to move their goods off the road, particularly the heavy ones, and onto the track. At the moment, limping as Zambia Railways is, we have also introduced what we are calling open access, that we have allowed the private sector, those that are able to invest in locomotives as well as wagons, to be able to join the parastatal, and that hopefully we can incentivize them with a fair rate, which should be low enough in order for them to take that risk of a longer period of time it will take to move their goods. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Sinazongwe.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, Honorable Minister, a question to you. Are there any plans of moving away from diesel-propelled trains to electric ones in the nearest future by your ministry? I submit, Madam Speaker.
Order, honorable members, can we pay attention to what is going on? There's a lot of talking. The Honorable Minister of Transport and Logistics.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. That question, I would liken it to the previous question, whereby we have to, as a country, put our house in order in various ways, and the rail subsector definitely being one of them. Before we can start dreaming about electric trains, we have to fix that which we have at the moment. We cannot run before we crawl. So let us first of all fix these diesel locomotives, get them to run efficiently. That way, we may be able to attract investment that side by side with the common diesel locomotive, we may have electric trains. But also, there is an issue, obviously, of energy sufficiency and surplus to be able to support more infrastructure that will depend on electricity generation by our counterparts in the Ministry of Energy. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll take 3 more questions so that we make progress. The Honorable Member for Kaumbwe, then Kabwe Central, then Luena. In that order.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for giving me an opportunity to ask a question. Minister, our Zambia Railways, of course, is really limping at a speed of maybe 30, 40 kilometers an hour. And my question is, are we thinking of improving the gauge? Because right now we have a Cape gauge. Are we thinking of putting up a standard gauge so that we are in conformity with the Southern African Railways for interoperability? When the locomotives, the wagons get onto our Zambia Railways, there should be that interconnectability. I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Transport and Logistics.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you to the Honorable Member for asking a very well-informed question. Yes, indeed, there are plans in the future that we may migrate from the current, standard gauge, rather Cape gauge to standard gauge. Particularly when I made reference earlier to the European Fund, which seeks to integrate the regional rail network, where one locomotive can move from Durban all the way across into Zambia up to the DRC. It would be nice that our infrastructure is standardized. We have neighboring countries such as Tanzania that are already leading the way in that particular regard. But in our country, like I said, there's obviously an issue, first of all, of learning to crawl before we can walk and eventually run. We have to fix our current infrastructure, and like I said, particularly in plans such as the connection between Zambia's Kafue into Zimbabwe's Lion's Den, that those plans are actually already underway. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you very much. Sorry, let me ask the honorable member for Pemba. I didn't see.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Still speaking on behalf of the Zambian people. The Honorable Minister, you said the total cost of rehabilitating the Zambia Railway will come to 1 billion, and you further indicated that the phase 1 is somewhere about 86% done. What could have been the cost for the first phase? Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Transport and Logistics.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. That is a detail that may have slipped my attention in terms of what we spent. Nothing obviously compared to the billion. This was basically obviously financing some sort of feasibility study on how the general track infrastructure could be, improved in terms of some of the unnecessary curves could be straightened so that ultimately speeds could be enhanced. I would, however, encourage the honourable member that you could come through to the office and such a figure will be availed to you. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Kabwe Central.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, for giving opportunity people of Kabwe Central to ask a follow-up question. Through you, Madam Speaker, Minister, of course, an investment of $1 billion is a lot of money, and people of Kabwe are happy that at least being the headquarters being in Kabwe Central, we are excited. But I want to find out, bearing in mind that you have got too much competition of using the road to transport heavy duty goods, is the government planning to come up with a law that will compel a certain tonnage of goods to be used by the rail line, so that at least that investment will come back within a short time of period? Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Transport and Logistics.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I have no doubt, Madam Speaker, that as we grapple to improve the country's infrastructure, particularly in the road subsector, we will really need to work hard to improve, or rather protect, particularly the road sector. Such a law, Madam Speaker, would definitely help us in terms of protecting our roads. But like I said, at the moment, we need to also keep the wheels of our economy turning, and all the more reason why we may not be very strict in terms of enforcing such a law or bringing about such a law, because we have to continue to move our economy as we strive to resuscitate the Zambian economy. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Member for Pemba. Another question? Or you are done?
I'm done, Madam Speaker. Thank you.
Okay. The Honorable Member for Luena.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, currently Zambia Railways has a financing gap ranging between 10 to 15 million kwacha on a monthly basis. And one of the areas where they have been trying to be innovative is in terms of their staff costs, but they can only go so far. That means they need to look at their operating costs. And this brings me to the question of what's happening in their workshop. Zambia Railways sits with massive workshops, but which are filled with obsolete equipment and obsolete technology. Is your ministry going to consider, in the assistance that you provide to Zambia Railways regularly, securing capital funding specifically for them to equip the workshops? Because they do have the capacity to manufacture some of the rolling stock even, that they would be salvaging from some of the old wagons so that they can reduce on their operating costs. Any plans to finance their capital expenditure in that context? Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Transport and Logistics.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you to the Honourable Member. Unless the Honourable Member knows something that I do not know, there is no such, machinery lying idle in Zambia Railways workshops. As a matter of fact, what we see is that some of the very, very dilapidated wagons are having to be sold off as scrap metal. So, no, Madam Speaker, in terms of recapitalization of the workshop, there is no such immediate plans, Madam Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you. The last question will be from the Honorable Member for Wacha.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and thank you so much, Minister, for the responses provided so far. In responding to the substantive question, Minister, you responded that financial closure or clause has not yet been reached. Through you, Madam Speaker, when are we likely to see the financial clause reached? Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Transport and Logistics.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you to the Honourable Member. I'm afraid I will not stand on this floor of Parliament and give an assurance as to when. But suffice to mention that once we do reach that stage, we shall come back to this House and avail through this House the rest of the nation that we've reached financial closure. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Next question, the Honorable Member for Kalabo Central.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Question number 357.
The Honorable Minister, Acting Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Honorable Member of Parliament for Kalabo Central, who is asking the Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security the following questions. At A, why the construction of the National Registration Office in Kalabo District has stalled. At B, when the project will resume. At C, when the contractor, who the contractor for the project is. At D, what the contract sum of the project is. At E, how much money had been paid to the contractor as of August 2022. And at F, what time frame of completion of the outstanding work is. Madam, in responding to the question asked by Honourable Member of Parliament, I wish to inform the House as follows. At A, the construction of the registration office in Kalabo District stalled due to delayed payment of interim payment certificates, IPCs, which resulted in the project's completion period extending negatively, affecting the contract sum as the prices of building materials began to escalate. The contract was then recommended for termination. At B, the project will resume when the termination is fully concluded and procurement process to be engaged to another contractor is finalized. The Western Province Administration is in the process of finalizing the termination of this contract. At C, the project for the construction of the NRC office in Kalabo District was in 2014 awarded to a company called Apotech Services Limited. The project has not yet been awarded to another contractor as the project balance is still under evaluation.
Order, honorable members, there is too much commotion. Is there something that we need to know, or can we concentrate and listen to the Honorable Acting Minister of Home Affairs? You may proceed, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Madam. At D, the project sum was 60,080 kwacha only. Once a project is re-advertised and awarded, then a new contractor is going to be known, and also the new sum contract will be known. The contractor at E was paid a total sum of 294,094 kwacha, 17 ngwe only, as of August 2022. The time frame for the project will be determined once the new project is re-advertised and also awarded. Madam, thank you very much.
Thank you. Supplementary questions. The Honorable Member for Kalabo Central.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Delayed payment on the side of the government leading into installment. The process of termination, Honorable Minister, how long does it take for the termination to be completed? Thank you.
The Honorable Acting Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Just like contraction of a contract, termination also has legal processes, Honorable Member of Parliament, depending on what clauses are contained in that particular contract. And so I'm afraid I do not have the contract in front of me, but suffice to indicate that on my supplementary notes, I've actually been informed that termination has since happened. I'm sorry I had not flipped the other page, but termination has since happened. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Mwandi.
Thank you so very much, Madam Speaker. I wanted to find out from the Minister if there is any given time that the government can store a project. I asked this question in regards to say previously, especially with the previous government, we had a lot of stored projects, whereby when you go back now to try and complete them, you realize that you cannot complete them because the kind or the quality of works have been compromised because certain projects have been stored for a long time. So I wanted to find out if there's any specific amount that government can store a project before it finally completes it. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Acting Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security.
Madam, thank you very much. I think the answer to the Honorable Member of Parliament from Monday is that it will normally be circumstantial. There's no standard period for which one can resume or end a project once it's stalled. But this phenomenon has a historic perspective, Madam Speaker, that in the past, the government that was there before us had embarked on an overzealous infrastructure development program that did not have matching corresponding fiscal space. And so you see that from the year 2012, 2014, a lot of projects that were below 80% had been shelved, put on their side. So much money, colossal amounts of money had been spent, and because they realized that there was no fiscal space to complete these projects, they decided that they were going to stop and only fund those that were above 80%. And to this date, even those that were above 80%, Madam Speaker, only a few had been duly completed. So this is a part of the inheritance that we as a government picked up from our Eswa brothers who were governing then. And to state that now, going forward, we are extremely strict to abide by the appropriation of monies by this House, so much so that as much as possible, we do not over-procure against budgets that are not fitting. Therefore, we are in the spirit of cutting the suit to the size of the cloth.
Thank you. Next question, the Honorable Member for Chinsali. Your mic, honorable member, is the next one. You are lost.
At least now I've found it. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Question number 358.
The Honorable Minister of Agriculture.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the Honorable Member for Chinsali, Mr. Chikosa, asked the Minister of Agriculture whether the government has any plans to promote rice farming in Chinsali district, and if so, when the plans will be implemented. And finally, Madam Speaker, which areas have potential for rice farming in the district? Madam Speaker, our response is as follows. Yes, Madam Speaker, government is promoting rice farming in Chinsali district. The promotion of rice production has been ongoing in a bid to diversify diets, Madam Speaker, to diversify diets and stimulate resilience to climate change among farmers. The Minister of Agriculture, working closely with private entities like the Common Market for Conservation, COMACO, the ones who produce its wild products, provides inputs, extension services, and a market for rice producers. COMACO has a large rice processing plant in Chinsali capable of processing 700 kgs of paddy rice per hour. In addition, the ministry, through the Enhanced Agribusiness Smallholder Promotion Program, ASAP, provided a grant to Mukwasu Enterprises, a local entrepreneur in Chinsali. The grant was for the establishment of a rice processing plant that would improve the quality of milled rice. The processing plant is fully operational. Madam Speaker, for B, plans are already being implemented. You may wish to note that the government has put in place the National Rice Development Strategy, which clearly stipulated measures on how to improve the rice value chain to support the domestic consumption and exports of rice. And in C, Madam Speaker, the major rice growing areas are mainly on the Chambeshi flood plains in the agricultural camps of Chivesa Farmer Training Center, Chinsali Central, Chambeshi, Charles Mbesuma, Kalela, Chunga Chilunda, Mubanga, Kaso, and Muzamanze. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. Supplementary questions. The Honorable Member for Chinsali.
Thank you, Honorable Minister of Agriculture, Mr. Madepiri. Minister, I would like to find out.
Order. What did you...
Mr. What's your name, sir? Mr. Mutoro P.
Order, honorable members. If you don't know the name, just then call the ministry.
Okay. Thank you for your guidance, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister of Agriculture, I would like to find out, is there anything that your ministry is doing to help the rice farmers in Chinsali to find market? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Agriculture. I think there's a lot of Chimbuya here.
Madam Speaker, the answer to Honorable Mukosa's question is yes. Madam Speaker, I just mentioned that there's a huge plant in Chinsali which is able to polish not less than 200,000 tons per year. So you have such a market. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Lukasha.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Honourable Minister, I just wanted to find out, you said this process has been ongoing for some time. What has been the positive outcome from this implementation? And are there any plans to extend it to the eastern side of the Chambeshi River where Shuangandu and Lukasha constituencies are? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister may answer the first question. The other one is meant to extend the question. The Honorable Minister of Agriculture.
Madam Speaker, unfortunately, despite all the efforts, honestly speaking, rice production in the country hasn't reached levels which are above our consumption pattern. And this we are trying to address. We are bringing in World Food Program, who are ready to work with us, and we are going to look at rice production in Western Province, Northern Province, Luapula Province, and Eastern Province. So we are, if there is any other province which feels that they can develop this and we can prove it using our agriculturists and our scientists, we want to promote rice production. Madam Speaker, the eating habits have to change in this country. So we will be very happy to promote rice. I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Bahati.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. And thank you, Minister, for your responses. Minister, the areas you've mentioned, Western, Luapula, and Northern, these are areas with lots of water. And generally in Zambia, we just grow rain-fed rice. So is your government promoting irrigating of rice production? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Agriculture.
Yes, Madam Speaker, we are promoting a lot of irrigation facilities. You might be happy to know that recently, even the CEEC is supporting programs for irrigated rice, irrigated wheat. So if there are areas where you think you would like to irrigate and you want to have irrigated facility, we will give you the technical knowledge. CEEC will give you the financial capacity. I thank you.
Thank you. I can see the Honorable Member for Chinsali is happy, so we move. The next question. The Honorable Member for Magango, on behalf of the Member for Mbawala, by prior arrangement.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Question number 359.
The Honorable Minister of Education.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Mr. Msanje, MP for Mbabala constituency, asked the Minister of Education, A, when rehabilitation of classrooms and teachers' houses whose roofs were blown off during the 2021-2022 rainy season at the following primary schools in Mbabala parliamentary constituency will commence. 1, Francis Davison. 2, Jalandambo. 3, Gadombo. 4, Mapanza. 5, Jiwe. And 6, Lugwalo. B, what the cause of the delay in commencing the works is. Madam Speaker, I wish to inform the House that A, the rehabilitation of classrooms and teachers' houses whose roofs were blown off during the 2021-2022 rainy season at Gadombo, Mapanza, Chibwe, and Lugwaro primary schools in Mbabala parliamentary constituency commenced last year, 2022, and progress has been made to this effect. You may wish to note that so far, 2 1x2 classroom blocks at Mapanza Primary School and a 1x2 classroom block at Chibwe Primary School have been rehabilitated. In addition, the contractor is on site to rehabilitate a 1x2 classroom block at Lugalo Primary, while the projects at Mapanza Primary for staff houses and Gadombo Primary for a 1x2 classroom block awaits the contractor to move on site. However, the projects at Francis Jefferson Secondary School and Jilala Tambo combined will commence as soon as funds are made available. And B, the cause of the delay in commencing the works was due to financial constraints. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Honorable members are now free to ask supplementary questions. The Honorable Member for Mangango.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, as we all know, that the new Dawn government has put priority in the education sector. Honorable Minister, I would request that you kindly put in a lot of effort so that the remaining schools like Francis Davidson and they are worked on time, because we have insufficient classrooms. Because as we speak, Madam Speaker, most of our learners, they are learning in one classroom, Madam Speaker, on shifts. So, Honorable Minister, when would funds be available that you can quicken up the works at Francis Davidson and Secondary School? Thank you.
All the honorable members, we are one. The Honorable Minister of Education.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I think my colleagues have partly answered the question, and therefore, these were provided for last year. We finished them. So since the CDF money is now trickling for 2023, I'm sure the money will be made available.
Thank you. Honorable Member for Chifubu.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, there are two primary schools that you have indicated that the contractor is likely to move on site, awaiting the contractor to move on site. Now, considering the period in which these damages were made to the school, it has been long. What could be the cause of the delay to these contractors to move on site? Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Education.
I'm not really quite sure, but since I said await the contractor to move on site, it means there could have been problems why the contractor didn't move on site. But the real problem, I may not state it now because I basically do not know. But a contractor will be moving. So be comforted that this one is not about negotiating. It's just awaiting the contractor to move on site. Thank you.
Thank you. The last question will be from the Honorable Member for Iteshiteshi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Minister, for the rehabilitated schools, to what extent are they factoring climate resilience so that we avert the potential disasters in the coming season? Thank you so much.
The Honorable Minister of Education.
I'm sure they took care of that problem, because no one would want a problem to recur and to do a bad job. So I'm quite sure. It's only that I haven't been on the ground to inspect, and I'm not an engineer, so I'm sure engineers certified something. Since all the time, and this is probably sometimes when you do a shoddy job, the roofs are blown off. So if you want to go and rehabilitate, I think care must be taken that that structure becomes resistant to any form of calamities that can befall the structure itself. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question, the Honorable Member for Chimba Milonga.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Question number 360.
The Honorable Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and the Honorable Member for Chimbamilonga.
Honorable Mr. Elias Musonda is asking the ministry following questions. A, why the construction of the Nsama district administration offices has stalled. B, when the project will resume. C, at what stage of completion the project was as of August 2022. D, what the cost of the outstanding works is. And E, what the time frame for the completion of the outstanding works is. We answer as follows, Madam Speaker. A, the construction of Nsama district administration offices stalled due to financial constraints. However, due to passage of time, the contract has since expired. B, the project is expected to resume once a new contractor has been procured. C, as of August 2022, the project was at 70% completion. D, the cost of outstanding works is 2,607,645 kwacha. And E, the time frame for the completion of the outstanding works is 4 months from commencement date. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Supplementary questions. The Honorable Member for Chimba Milonga.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, once the new contractor has been procured, are we likely to have a timeline of activities that will culminate into the completion of these works? Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Now, Musonda, you're asking for timeline. I said 4 months from the start of the project completion, 4 months. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. I'm sure the Honorable Member is satisfied. He has not indicated, so we make progress. Oh, you want to ask?
I'm done.
Oh, thank you very much. So we go to the next question. The Honorable Member for Solwezi East.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Question 362.
The Honorable Minister of Local Government and Rural Development.
Madam Speaker, thank you very much. Honorable Mr. Katakwe, Member of Parliament for Solwezi East, is asking the Minister of Local Government and Rural Development at A, whether government does have plans to install traffic lights at the junction of Great East Road and Parliament Road in Lusaka, and if so, when the plans will be implemented, and if there are no such plans, he wishes to know why. Our response. Government has no plans, excuse me. Government has no plans to install traffic lights at the junction of Great East and Parliament Roads in Lusaka, as this would cause the traffic backlog on the Great East Road, especially at peak hours. At B, Madam Speaker, as I have stated, there is no plans to do such a thing. And at C, again, government has no plans to install traffic lights at the said junction, as it would cause a backlog of traffic, especially during hours of peak traffic. The Great East Road, Madam Speaker, is a major trunk road and is designed to carry traffic that must relatively be uninterrupted. Furthermore, Madam Speaker, my imagination is that probably this question might have been lodged in before the flyover bridge was erected, and now with this flyover bridge, it just becomes impractical to put traffic lights, especially that just a few yards before then or after then, depending on which bound traffic you are on, there are lights at Manda Hill. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Supplementary questions? The Honorable Member for Solwezi East.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Minister, would you consider alternatives for the safety of members of parliament? Because I do recall that in the past there was an RTA where a member of parliament died at that very juncture, and now you have put some kind of a barrier that helps only the VP. Would you have an alternative? Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Local Government and Rural Development.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the traffic accident that I recall having happened there that involved a member of parliament was involving Honorable Miyanda, I think Samuel Miyanda, MP for Kalomo at that time, back in the year. And the very reason why that barricade was put was to prohibit anybody coming from parliament trying to cross the road when you are town bound, because it poses a big danger. And therefore, it only goes without saying that that was a preventive measure. So if you are town bound, you must just consider spending an extra few minutes to go right around the traffic, the Seiko at Arcades under the bridge and go to town as you may wish.
Thank you. We can make progress. The next question, Honorable Member for Chipangali. Honorable Member for Chipangali, since he's not there, the question lapses. We go to the next question. The Honorable Member for Mulobezi.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and the greetings from the good people of Mulobezi. Question number 364. Thank you.
The Honorable Acting Minister of Health.
Madam Speaker, Mr. Mawenga, the Honorable MP for Malobezi, is asking the Minister of Health the following questions at A. When the following will be procured for Malobezi District Hospital? Roman numeral 1, X-ray machines, 2, incubators, 3, infant resuscitator machines, 4, ambulance, 5, utility motor vehicles. And at B, he wishes to know when the broken down ambulance for the hospital will be repaired. Our response. The government provided 6 X-ray machines for Mulobezi District Hospital in 2018. That was, sorry, not 6. I'm sorry, can I be allowed to just read this again, Madam Speaker? The government provided the X-ray machines for Mulobezi District Hospital in 2018. That was installed at the hospital under the Japanese grant for socio-economic program support for the year 2017. The Japanese grant had seen a 13 digital X-ray machine procured by the Ministry of Health, and the Mulobezi district was a beneficiary with the official handover for all 13 digital X-ray machines done in 2019. Madam Speaker, government intends to procure medical equipment through the Zambia Medicines Medical Supplies Agency, ZAMSA, which will include, among others, incubators, infant resuscitator machines, in a phased approach starting with the year 2023, which is this year, for all public health facilities countrywide. And the Mulobezi district is expected to be a beneficiary from this government initiative. Madam Speaker, as regards the procurement of ambulances and utility motor vehicles, government has plans to procure 200 ambulances and utility vehicles to cater for the public health facilities across the country, including our beloved people of Mulobezi and the Mulobezi District Hospital in particular. The procurement of these ambulances and utility vehicles will be implemented in a phased approach commencing this year, 2023. Madam, the House may wish to also note that in the first phase, 2023, government has planned to procure a total of 60 ambulances comprising 3 neonatal ambulances, 46 basic support ambulances, and 11 advanced life support ambulances. Further, the House may wish to note that government through the Global Fund has procured 15 Toyota Land Cruiser hardtop motor vehicles for HIV/tuberculosis programs support for Western, Copperbelt, and Lusaka province, and Molowezi is in Western province. In addition, Madam Speaker, plans are underway to procure 98 more vehicles under the Global Fund for the last mile medicines and medical supplies distribution, but this is awaiting approval by the Global Fund. Madam, the House may wish to also know that this is an old vehicle, the one that she is asking about repair, which services a vast tough terrain and region, and the cost has been significantly increasing and may be too costly to start repairing now. The hospital, however, has another Land Cruiser that is being used for the purposes of emergencies. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. Supplementary questions? The Honorable Member for Molowezi.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Speaker. These X-ray machines, it was there some few months ago, and there was a complaint from the hospital that those machines, I don't know, maybe they are too old now, they can't function now. So is there any way, Honorable Minister, in which you can help us to have those machines working? Thank you.
The Honorable Acting Minister of Health.
Thank you for that information, Honorable Member of Parliament for Molowezi, that this machine that was commissioned in 2019 has got challenges. And my encouragement to you is that the district health management team should have made this communication as quickly as they discovered that there was a malfunction on this machine, so that if there's anything that could have been done to put it back into a serviceable condition, it could be done. My invitation is to you to bring this matter before our office at the Ministry of Health so that someone can pick it up there and quickly check if it is serviceable, and if it is not, I'm sure that some effort can be made to try and replace it so that our people of Molowezi constituency can still continue to enjoy the facility that everyone so direly needs. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Solwezi East.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Minister, you just stated that the government has intention to procure medical equipment for health facilities across the country. Is there specific intentions to procure medical equipment like laparoscopes, which are critical in medical surgery for female-related health conditions like uterine fibroids and other fibroids? Thank you.
Well, the question looks like it's asking for further information than what the Honorable Minister said. It appears it's a new question. You can put in a fresh question, Honorable Member for Solwezi East, if you want to ask about that. The Honorable Member for Luena.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, I've just heard you say government is procuring ambulances in a phased manner. Are these ambulances apart from the CDF ambulances, or you are referring to the CDF ambulances? Thank you.
The Honorable Acting Minister of Health.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, colleague and friend. The CDF ambulances are a completely different package from these ambulances that I'm referring to here, because I did mention where the source of funding for these ambulances was coming from. And I did mention that it was from the Global Fund. Madam Speaker, the initiative by this government to ask or compel members of parliament and their WBCs to go ahead and procure ambulances is to improve the health delivery system in our country. And because we are working under a devolved function type of governance now, we thought that the Constituent Development Fund can be useful to ease the burden of the ever-rising emergencies that our country citizens continue to face. Just imagine that in a district like, or constituency like Kafue, for instance, Kafue is got a district hospital and it's got several other health facilities that will need those ambulances. So I can confirm that these ambulances from CDF are a complement to the existing government effort to make the health delivery system to our people a lot more smooth. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Mulovezi.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, when are we likely to get the vehicles, ambulances and utility vehicles? Thank you.
The Honorable Acting Minister of Health.
Madam Speaker, thank you. I wish the MP would be a bit more specific in his question because now we are found ourselves talking about two sets of ambulances. The CDF ambulances will be procured as soon as the approval processes, fortunately in the ministry that I'm privileged to superintend on, have concluded. The issue of the other ambulances that whose detail I provided here, I was extremely clear that 15 Toyota Land Cruisers with hard-top motor vehicles are already procured under Global Fund. That's what I say. I also stated that 3 neonatal ambulances at the cost of $225,000 US had also been procured. I also said that 46 basic support ambulances at a cost of $3.5 million US and an estimated cost of 11 advanced life support ambulances at $985,000 had been procured. Remember, Madam Speaker, I said this is coming from the Global Fund. So my plea to and I'm appealing that the member becomes just a bit more patient so that the ministry responsible can do its work in distributing these ambulances.
Thank you. Next question, to be asked by the Honorable Member for Bangweolu on behalf of the Honorable Member for Chitambo by prior arrangement.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Question 365.
The Honorable Minister of Agriculture.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the Honorable Member is asking government what plans the government has to mechanize and boost rice production in Chitambo district, and B, when the plans will be implemented, and C, how many farmers are targeted to benefit from the exercise. Government's response, Madam Speaker, is as follows. The Ministry of Agriculture's crop diversification strategy recognizes rice as one of the strategic crops that contributes to food and nutrition security, and with the potential to significantly increase incomes and employment among rural producers, and as such places rice among the highly prioritized crops. In this regard, government has plans to mechanize and boost rice production in Chitambo constituency. In 2023, Madam Speaker, government through the Agriculture Productivity and Market Enhancement Project called APMEP procured and distributed mechanization sets. These include 1 tractor, a 90 horsepower tractor, a combined harvester, a 28-row planter, and 2 reapers. This is in addition, Madam Speaker, to the following equipment which was delivered in between 2018 and 2021 under the same project. 1, 2 tractors, 2 plows, 3, 2 trailers, 4, a combined harvester, 5, boom sprayer, 6, a planter, and finally, 2 drying tents. Further, the ministry is working in conjunction with JICA on the promotion of seed multiplication for farmers, as seed is a critical input in rice production. Madam Speaker, for question B, the plans to support farmers to boost rice production in Chitambo constituency have, as indicated, already commenced and currently being implemented. And finally, Madam Speaker, the whole mechanization project is targeting 56 clusters, which comprise 3,200 farmers. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. Supplementary questions? I see none. We make progress. The next question, the Honorable Member for Chadiza.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. People of Chadiza are asking question 366.
The Honorable Minister of Water Development and Sanitation.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Daka, MP for Chadiza, is asking the Ministry of Water Development and Sanitation the following question in 5 parts. A, whether the government has any plans to construct dams in Chadiza parliamentary constituency. B, if so, when the plans will be implemented. C, how many dams are earmarked for construction in 2022? Madam Speaker, this question was sent in 2022. Then D, what the estimated cost of the project is, and E, if there are no any such plans, why? Madam Speaker, our response is as follows. Under A, yes, government has plans to construct dams in Chadiza parliamentary constituency. B, the implementation of the plans will commence after the completion of feasibility studies scheduled for 2023. The feasibility studies will establish the suitability of dam construction in Chadiza parliamentary constituency. Under C, Madam Speaker, there are no dams earmarked for construction in Chadiza parliamentary constituency under the year 2022. However, government did provide funds and maintained 2 dams in Chadiza, namely Chamandala and Chamchenga dams. D, the cost of the project can only be established after conducting the feasibility studies, surveys, detailed technical designs, drawings, and bill of quantities. And E, Madam Speaker, as indicated in A above, government has plans to construct dams not only in Chadiza parliamentary constituency, but throughout the country. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Supplementary questions. The Honorable Member for Chadiza.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, thanks a lot for those responses. Honorable Minister, for your own information, there are 21 dams in Chadiza, but 12 of them have been washed out, and 9 of them are in a very critical condition. Now, Honorable Minister, you know very well with these challenges of climate change, at a time when you were supposed to be promoting rainwater harvesting, the infrastructure which was built a long time ago is being damaged without any cause of action on the side of government. My question now comes, why is it that government is failing to formulate policies that are biased towards maintenance than waiting for these structures to be damaged completely? Why is it like that? I submit, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Water Development and Sanitation.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I want to thank the Honorable Member of Parliament for Chadiza for that follow-up question. Madam Speaker, it's not true that we are not coming up with measures to undertake the rehabilitation works on the damaged dams, but I think what is true is that there has been low investment or low financing in the water sector, including funds to go towards the rehabilitation of the dams. But under this government, I have indicated before here in the House that we have started an exercise to conduct an assessment, and this assessment started last year to establish the state of dams throughout the country. These measures are meant to ensure that we provide more resources, first of all, towards the rehabilitation of the existing dams. Secondly, to provide resources towards construction of new dams. So I want to assure the Member of Parliament, and through him, through you, Madam Speaker, to the House, that this ministry is looking at undertaking rehabilitation works of various dams in various parts of the country. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable members, this is a constituency-based question, so let's not extend it. The Honorable Member for Lukasha.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Honourable Minister, I just wanted to find out, since this question was raised in 2022 and now we're in 2023, are you able to indicate to the House when exactly government is going to start undertaking these feasibility studies as you stated? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Water Development and Sanitation.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I think under B, his question was addressed under B, where I said the implementation of the plans will be will commence after the completion of the feasibility studies scheduled for 2023. So within this year, we are hoping that the feasibility studies will have been carried out and completed. Thereafter, we can indicate when we'll be able to proceed to undertake the works. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Chadiza.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Minister, people of Chadiza are grateful in the manner in which you are responding to them. However, we would want to take advantage. Now, we want to go to a specific dam, which is a major source of water supply to the CBD and the Nsazu Ward. That's the Nsazu Dam, the oldest dam that we have, which was commissioned in 1976. Honorable Minister, the status of this dam, that it has heavily been silted because of unsound agricultural practices and the deforestation, of course. Do you have any intention to provide some form of intervention that would enhance the capacity or that would enhance the level of service of this dam, which serve the masses of my constituents? In short, do you have any short-term intervention to enhance service levels for this dam in question? I submit, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Water Development and Sanitation.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Again, I want to thank the Member of Parliament for this follow-up question. Madam Speaker, I know that this is a constituency-based question, but maybe let me use this to state that the situation obtaining in Chadiza is actually prevailing everywhere throughout the country. If you go around the country, you go to Nyimba, you go to Southern Province, you go to Ikelengi, the problems that are being said to be in Chadiza are prevalent everywhere. Why? Because there were no deliberate measures to inject more resources into this sector to address these problems. And the same can be said to the road infrastructure and many more. So what I want to assure you, the Honourable Member, is that we have put up measures to attend to those challenges, not only in your constituency, but in the various constituencies throughout the 156 constituencies. In fact, Madam Speaker, before close of this week, we'll be sending a letter through the clerk's office to request for certain information from the members of parliament. And I think that letter should be able to assist us deal with such issues in terms of collecting information regarding the much stressed areas in the various constituencies. So that letter will be coming. Just to emphasize, Madam Speaker, that the MP should wait a little while. We are moving in the various constituencies as and when resources are availed to us to ensure that the various dams are worked on. The President has been very emphatic on this issue, that we need to ensure that we scale up in terms of the provisions of water harvesting infrastructure. And like I said earlier, we are looking at first rehabilitating the existing dams and then provide more dams in terms of constructing new ones. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Mwandi.
Thank you so very much, Madam Speaker. I'm not very sure whether I heard the Honorable Member for Chadiza very well. Did he say he has 21 dams in one constituency? I'm wondering, Mwandi has none. But that was not going to be my question. My question was, Honorable Minister, you've spoken about visibility studies, and I think you've said, riding up on the answer that you gave to the Honorable Member for Chadiza, you have indicated that you want these dams to be rolled out to the old 156 constituencies. I wanted to find out if there are any visibility studies going on in all these various constituencies to prep you for the rollout, because I'm very, very much interested. As Mwandi, as I've said, there's no dam zero. Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Water Development and Sanitation, since you decided to expand your answer.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Indeed, like you had guided, that this is a constituency-based question. So when I talked about the feasibility studies, I was speaking to specifically this question regarding Chadiza. But for the other constituencies, like I said, that my ministry is undertaking some assessment on the various dams with a view to see in what state those dams are, and then begin to establish how much money will be required to bring these dams back to life and ensure that they harvest the intended quantities of water. So the assessments are being carried out in the various constituencies. So, Honorable Member of Parliament for Mwandi, if you have dams in Mwandi constituency, which are in, oh, you have none. So basically, we'll be talking about new dams. So we'll be checking in the various constituencies in areas where the members of Parliament feel that in a particular area or in a particular ward, they need a dam, and then we can direct our provincial officers to go and check. Then once we mobilize the resources, we'll be able to direct the resources to the plan that we'll have put in place based on your input as members of Parliament and other stakeholders. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Nyimba.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Minister, you agree with me that Chadiza and the entire province of Eastern Province, a good number of those rivers are perennial rivers. So the dams are heavily silted. And at the end of the day, they burst because they can't hold on the sand and the water at the same time. In addition to that, you know that a good number of animals in Eastern Province are stolen because we don't have enough water to give it to our animals. Minister, looking at this, and the poor maintenance record of our dams in the province, because a number of them, they were colonial or pre-independence, or just in the UNIP era dams when they were constructed. Do you have any plans to avoid these dams being damaged? Do you have any plans to see to it that also give Eastern Province provincial administration a dredger to be working on this dam so that we avoid this, so that the minister at the province level can easily monitor our dams to avoid colossal sums of money being spent in the dams like the dams in Chadiza now. We need a colossal sums of money. And if we had the dredger, we would have not spent such kind of money. Do you have any plans that we can bring in the dredger to be cleaning up our dams? Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Water Development and Sanitation.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. We don't have plans at the moment to bring in a dredger, but the assessments that we are conducting, coupled with the various consultations we are going to carry out, if they require that we need to engage the services of that equipment, a dredger, in the province, then at that stage you will be able to consider that. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The last question, Honorable Member for Kasenengo.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I think he has covered what I wanted to ask. Thank you.
Thank you. Then next question, the Honorable Member for Chinsali.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Question number 367.
The Honorable Minister of Local Government and Rural Development.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Mr. Mukosa Kalalwe, Member of Parliament for Chinsali, is asking the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development at A, when the tarring of the township roads in Chinsali district will be completed, at B, what stage of completion in percentage terms the project was as at August 2022, at C, what the contract sum for the project is, at D, when the contractor was last paid, and finally at E, what the outstanding amount was as of September 2023. I beg your pardon. At F, when the outstanding balance will be paid. Our response. Madam Speaker, the tarring of the Chinsali Township Road in the district should have been completed by April 2022, but was not completed due to lack of funds. As of 2022 August, physical progress for the project was at 55%. At C, the contract sum of the project was...
Hold down. As the time is 16:40, I suspend business for 20 minutes for a health break.
Live pictures are coming your way here on Parliament television. On the floor of the House was Local Government and Rural Development Minister Honorable Nkombo, responding to a question that has been posed by Chinsali lawmaker Mr. Mukosa. So the House is currently considering questions for oral answer under Standing Order number 74, and it was it is actually supposed to consider 14 of those questions, and so far the House has considered 8 questions. Taza?
And earlier on, when business resumed, Madam Speaker, I did permit the Minister of Agriculture, that is Honorable Ruben Mutolo, to render a ministerial statement on the status of the Farmer Input Support Program 2023 to 2024 farming season. We will get to the details of this statement at a later stage, but just now we take a break. Continue watching Parliament television.
My name is Engineer Jonathan Daka. I'm 46 years old, of course married with the 4 beautiful children, 4 boys. I went to Chipata for my entire primary school, even secondary school. Thereafter, I went to the University of Zambia in 1995, where I graduated with a Bachelor's of Engineering in Civil Engineering in 2002, after staying there for an extended time of 7 years. That's my basic qualification. I'm an engineer by profession. My constituency is located on the southeast part of Zambia, bordering with Mozambique. This constituency is a rural constituency with 20 wards, and this constituency being a border constituency, you know, this is a constituency which actually houses the Chanida border, which is the shortest border to the sea coast for the country. Therefore, much of the, and it's proud of its imports of fuel, because